Hello, everyone. We welcome you all to our first ever podcast of Q1 Church. We have here our beloved Pastor Finney George Daniel with us today. How are you doing, Pastor?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, we are here today to discuss about a common topic, yet a very important topic, and it is worship and worshippers.
Wow.
So, I would like to ask you that as you have been leading worships from past many years and you have been to abroad and in India, you have traveled India and abroad, and you have been with smaller congregation or a larger congregation, and you have led in crusades also. So how would you describe your calling as a worship leader?
That's a very tricky question. First of all, I'm not called as a worship leader.
Okay.
Biblically, there is no call as a worship leader. There is no post as a worship leader. There is only one post, worshipper. So I'm not a worship leader, I'm a worshipper.
So how would you describe yourself as a worshipper?
Uh, Worshipper, I'm a worshipper. Every child of God is a worshipper. That is the primary call. The the existence of a child of God. They are first called to worship God. So each and every one of us, we are worshippers.
So what do you think is a worship? When you think about worship, what first comes to your mind?
See, that also depends. Like worship for different people. Of course, you have asked about me. So when it comes to uh, worship, it's all about glorifying God. It's about God who is worthy of all worship.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't want to put that very uh, super spirituality way. When it comes to worship, a set comes, music comes, instruments comes, audience comes, arrangements comes, all these things comes into our mind. But all those things are secondary. Yeah,
Okay, the primary thing that we should consider in worshipping is just focusing on Jesus.
of course. Because the one and only reason for worship is God.
Yeah, that's true.
So anything beyond or anything apart from God, that's not. I don't consider that as a worship.
So what do you think? How a worship impact an individual or a church in a whole, as a whole?
See, worship, uh, how it impacts. Definitely, worship. Even when we look into the Word of God in the Bible, even Paul and Silas when they were in the prison,
Yeah.
it is worship that brought breakthrough. Worship definitely has got so much power because it's not about an individual; it's about God. So you are a God who is worthy of all worship. We are, giving praise and we are worshiping His name. So worship has got power. Worship has got so much of life. So definitely it'll impact, be it be individual, be it be collective.
So how do you think a church add the value of worship in every area? How do you think a church impact people life or surrounding environment in respect of a worship?
You mean how church impact while they worship?
No, in as a whole, a church, if you're worshipping,
Huh.
we are worshipping in a church,
Mhm.
and how a body of Christ impact people around.
See, it's not only in worship. As a church, our existence itself should impact others.
Yeah.
and the surrounding of ours. When we talk about worship, it's not just the sounds or the songs or the praise. Worship is a lifestyle. So when our lifestyle reflects Jesus, it will definitely impact the surroundings.
Yeah, that's true. So, how do you see the importance of prayer or reading the word and like be in touch with God in that secret place before any worship sets or we are going and worshiping God? How do you like describe that secret place? What is your experience of that secret place?
See, first of all, if we are not uh, taking out time to have that secret place with God,
Yeah.
that's not worship. That is just performance. Sadly, I won't say every team or every set, but somewhere um, it is more focused on how the music is, how the sound is. I'm not against it. I am for it. It should be prioritized. But in that process of making it perfect with the music, with the sound and all, somewhere the importance of having that encounter with God, because uh, I believe it is all about Jesus. If in our worship, if He's not present, if His presence is not coming down, then that is not worship, that is just performance. Uh, there are better music than, I think, the church music out there in the world, which affects and captures many. So the difference between the music out in the world and music in the church is the presence of God. So it's very important to have an encounter with God as individual, as worship team members, and it's very important to have that secret place to hear God and get into a worship set.
And people seldom realize that there is a difference between just singing songs and leading a congregation into a time of worship. So, what do you think about that?
Uh, See, to lead a congregation into worship, in my experience, you yourself need to be a worshiper.
Yeah.
If you are not a worshiper, you cannot lead others into a time of worship, because that would be merely a gain. Uh, you are standing out there as an individual, as a, you know, a so-called performer, and if people like your performance, they will join with you. Otherwise, you know, that's how I feel.
So, you think that, having just having a worship team as a name
Hmm.
shouldn't be there, but every individual that is on the worship team should have a separate encounter with Jesus.
Of course, of course. If you don't have a personal, individual encounter with Jesus, then that worship will not be impactful, because you are not experiencing anything uh, from the person who is worthy of worship. We have nothing to give to people.
Yeah.
It is God, it is Jesus who can do anything when we worship Him. So every individual as a worship team, in worship team, need to have, in my take, apart from God, the rest everything is useless.
So, what do you think?
It's a show off.
Yeah, so what do you think is the best example we see as a worshipper in Bible?
Oh, David, all-time favorite. Uh, I am so fascinated about him. Especially, I am reminded of when he was worshiping in the Bible. When he was worshiping, even his wife
Yeah.
came and said, "What man? You are acting like a crazy man." and he gives an answer. मेरे मेरे मैं इस प्रकार कहता हूँ, पगली औरत, तेरे को समझ में नहीं आता, ये जो कुर्सी पे मैं बैठा हूँ ना, तेरे बाप ने ना दिया मेरे को. You know, I would take it in that way. You know, वो ऐसे ही बोल रहा था. Because he understood whatever he is and wherever he is, it's not because of his ability. You know, कहाँ जंगल में पड़ा हुआ था, वहां से उठाकर उसको राजा के महल में कुर्सी पे बिठा दिया. और when he thinks about God, he understands that whatever I am today, it is only because of God, and He is worthy of all worship. So he forgot everything. सब कुछ भूल भाल गया वो. And मैं हमेशा ही कहता हूँ, जब वो आराधना कर रहा था, सब लोग एक कहते हैं कि वो नाच रहा था, बीवी ने उसको पागल बुला लिया, लेकिन मुझे उसके अंदर सबसे ज्यादा पसंद आने वाली एक चीज, वो आराधना करने से पहले उसने सबसे पहले एक चीज किया, उसने अपने मुकुट जो सिर पे था वो निकाल करके नीचे रखा. अनफॉर्चुनेटली आज के जमाने के वर्षिप में हम एक मुकुट के 10-10 100 मुकुट सिर पे लेकर के आराधना करते हैं. वेल, आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इट, आई फील लाइक प्रीचिंग. So he is the best example, David, always.
So you have been with teams, smaller teams or bigger teams. What do you think determines skills needed to be a part of a worship team?
Explain me that. What do you mean by determine skills?
Determine skills means that you have a certain skills to be a part of a team. You need something to be a part of that team, be it spiritually or physically. So what do you think determine people to be a part of this team?
See, of course, worship as a worship team.
Yeah.
You know, as a worshipper, everyone is a worshipper. When you talk about worship team, that includes music, and you need to have little sense of music when you are in a worship team. Even Bible says, play skillfully.
Yeah.
When you play, you need to play skillfully. You need to know playing. You need to know singing. You need to know a little bit of knowledge of music, and that is very, very important. Not anyone can get into a worship team, and of course, everyone as an individual they are worshipper. But when you talk about worship team, you need to have sense of music.
So you think you have any stress regarding your team?
Regarding my team?
Yeah, stressful situations that you face regarding your team or any other teams?
Oh yeah, of course. Because when you are dealing with a team, you have got a lot of areas where you need to look into. A lot of areas. Of course, there are stress. Many times I have seen जब मेरी वर्शिप सेट शुरू होना होता है, लास्ट मोमेंट में साउंड में कुछ हो गया, या आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर there was a program couple of years back. I was not involved directly with that team. They were the first to perform or to minister in that set, and they did all the settings and everything, and of course it was in the evening. So in the morning they set it up. It was super hot, and the sun was blazing, and they did all their equipments. It was without a roof. They set it up everything, and they came back after the they went for getting ready and all. They came back, and the moment they started their set, the laptop in which the track was supposed to be played, it just blew off because of the heat. Now they couldn't, but they were so good that they played live. They somehow pulled it off. So, those kind of moments, it's very challenging. If you are not, you'll be at stress. But, it all, as time passes by with experience, You handle it.
Any toughest issue you faced till now with the team, which you think is a frustrating part that even it's not in your
Many.
control?
So
So,
it'll be good if you don't get into that topic. Of course, nothing is smooth, nothing is easy, but yeah. See, as long as we keep on focusing on the purpose of worship
yeah.
and the reason of worship, all these things are, manageable.
Did you ever had ministry anxiety?
Not as anxiety, because whenever we go for leading worship or whenever we are called to minister, I am always reminded of one thing: it's not about me, it's about God. And I always pray, Lord, you should show up. God should show up. If God won't show up, then the music might be good. Music can be good, but worship actually ministers to your inner being and your soul. If people are not being delivered or blessed or touched, so that desire is there, uh, that thought process goes behind. That's always there, that it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about the team, it's about God. So that desperation is there. Lord, you should be there, you should touch people. That's always there. But I don't call it as an anxiety, because anxiety comes when you think that you are doing it. Anxiety comes that when you think that I am doing it, I need to pull it up. That's the time when anxiety comes. But when you are totally dependent on God, I don't think anxiety is an issue.
What are your views on holiness and worship going hand in hand?
You can worship without holiness. I don't call it as a worship.
Yeah,
You
it's just
can
singing songs.
People call it as worship,
Yeah.
but Bible says uh, worship is something which you please God.
Mm.
Bible says without holiness no one can please God. So if you are not holy enough, like I'm not saying that every one of us is super holy, but holiness is priority. If we want to please God through our worship, holiness is must.
What do you think your views on how people are trading today? Their calling, whatever the calling is, they have been called by God for something worldly, for sometime pleasure. How you view them? That is it worth, or they are all lured into what we say the Satan's mastermind stuffs?
See, I'm nobody to judge on that
Hmm.
topic. It's all individuals call and take, and we don't know how will you know, or I know
Hmm.
that their intentions or their desire is something else. We can't judge that, because God knows our inner
Yeah.
being and our inner thoughts.
Hmm.
So, well, I don't think I'm anyone to take a call on that or judge on that.
Yeah. So coming back to the Sunday service sets, so what do you keep in mind while you choose songs or set a list?
Uh, when it comes to Sunday service,
Yeah.
I think the entire week should be a worship set.
Okay.
If you don't worship throughout the week,
Hmm.
then it'll be a struggle for anyone to select songs on Sundays. When you are connected with God throughout the week, you will know, just like a father and son have conversation, father and children have conversation, you will be in constant relationship with your father in heaven.
Mm.
So he will speak to you, you will have a relationship, you will always have a communication with God, and it'll be easy to uh, pick up the songs or set a set for the worship, because end of the day you are just a mediator between
Mm.
God and people.
Mm.
So now if you are not in a habit of worship apart from Sunday or stage or church,
Mm.
then it will be a challenge. If you are in habit of worship throughout the week, of course, apart from that, when God speaks to you, God gives you topics, or maybe through a word of God, through some incident, through something. Just an example. Last week, when I was ministering in the church, it was about love of God.
Mm.
Throughout that week, one song, God was ministering to me. You know, so it was the relationship with Him throughout that week. So on the basis of that, we select songs.
See, many people says and quotes that you don't need to go to church for worship.
Ah.
You can worship anywhere. They take a quote of that Samaritan woman, the woman at the well, and what Jesus said to her. So, what do you think? The people think that we don't need a church or a fellowship to worship Jesus.
See, in the Bible,
Yeah.
the example of Samaritan woman, it is not written after meeting with Jesus where Samaritan woman was. It is only written before Samaritan woman met Jesus.
No.
After meeting with Jesus, her life totally changed.
Yeah.
And she might have had a closer walk with Jesus or in relationship with Jesus. And that's why, she went back to the village, and the entire village, I think that was the biggest salvation ever happened.
Yeah.
The entire village came to faith.
Yeah,
You
she
know, so
proclaimed.
her life itself produced the result. And if people are thinking you don't have to go to, I after the COVID, during the COVID time, there were online churches and online ministry. So even after the COVID was over, people still were so much addicted to the online churches. So I always used to say, मजाक मजाक में, आप ऑनलाइन चर्चेस अटेंड कर लो, परमेश्वर आपको स्वर्ग भी ऑनलाइन ही दिखाएगा. you know, uh, that's it.
So, when you see today's generation, what do you think that in today's generation, does worship has become a genre? They have been shifting their focus from Jesus.
What was that? Worship has
Genre.
become?
A genre. Just like we have a pop music,
Uh-huh.
we have like hip
What
hop
was
music.
that word? Can you come
Genre.
again?
Genre. Genre.
John Ray.
Yeah, it's a genre. See, it's
I'm not
hard.
that educated like you, that's why I don't know. John Ray.
So it's okay, you can learn now.
I felt like
It's
somebody's
like,
name.
No, it's like how you pronounce every time. Like, it's
Oh, okay.
like,
Oh,
you
sorry.
say like genre.
Genre.
Yeah, you say genre. I say genre.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's your pronunciation, not mine.
Okay.
So,
Anyway,
what do you think?
sorry.
They're shifting their focus from Jesus. Like it has become a culture. Like
True. Again, I'm not nobody to comment on that, but somewhere the focus slowly have been shifted
yeah.
from the person of worship, who is Jesus. It has become more of the one who is, performing or leading or playing or singing individuals, their name and fame and all those things. I think slowly that is picking up. Even I have seen a couple of places where where you have 2-3 teams in a church,
Worship teams.
worship teams, and I've heard like people talking, oh, today that person is leading, so that's going to be very good, or
Oh.
today that person is leading, that's going to be like that. So it has somehow or somewhere the focus of the person who is supposed to be worshipped has shifted.
Okay, so it's like we see who is leading, and then we decide if we want to be a part of that worship or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, what do you think is lacking in today's generation?
In what times?
We are talking about worship. So, in
Worship.
worship,
I think the person Jesus. Again, I'm not nobody to judge on that, but if there is anything lacking, I think that is the person Jesus, because we are more focused on the performance, how best music should be, how best the sound should be. I'm also in that. I'm not saying if we are doing it, we should do it better. You know, if we were doing this podcast 10 years ago, how we should have been doing it and how we are doing it today.
no.
It is the same way, but the same way in worship also, now we need to have better music, better sound system, better lights, better musicians, better instruments. It's there, but I think all those things should not take us away from the reason and the person of worship.
So, you want to say we know about Jesus, but we seldom go into deeper level with him nowadays. We only know periphery of, yeah, we read someone as Jesus and he's God, and he's he's in the Trinity.
See, my
and all
question is, when we worship, for example, me and you, when you worship, when I worship, do we have an encounter with him? Or else, when we worship, after the worship, do we really have a change within? Because worship always brings change. Worship will bring change. If there is no change within, in our life, in our whatever, then, well, I just leave it there.
So, what do you think is the essential role a worship leader plays in a worship set or in a congregation?
See, he is a person who would connect the congregation, not connect congregation with God, but he is just a channel. He is just helping people to get connected with or worship God. Because people are throughout the week, people are with so much of struggles and challenges, and so as a worship leader or a worship team, as I said in the beginning, there is no post as worship leader, but somebody who is standing there and helping them to connect with. He is just a channel. He cannot do anything. Whatever has to be done, it has to be done by God. So you need to get connected with God. Sometimes, because of our busy schedule, because of our daily activities, because of our all lifestyle, we all are human beings. We drift away. As a worship leader, he just helps us to get back.
It's just like a prodigal son coming back to the father.
Exactly.
So, last question, Pastor. It's what...
Oh, it is last?
Oh, yeah, it is
I
last.
thought it just began.
So, it's not Sunday and we are not preaching.
Okay.
So, what advice would you like to give to today's generation or the worship teams or the worship members?
Don't miss Jesus. Uh, I don't know which book is that.
Mm.
I always I always say that uh, today's worship we have so much of words. Jesus, I love you. Lord, I love you. Father, I praise you. I exalt you. We have words. And that book says, in the multitude of your words,
Where am I?
God is asking, where am I? You know, we have, because the language is so vast and we have got so much of words to ascribe or exalt God. हमारे शब्दों के बीच में परमेश्वर पूछता है, तेरे शब्दों के बीच में मैं कहाँ हूँ? हम जब आराधना के लिए आते हैं, तेरी स्तुति हो, तेरी तारीफ हो तू महान है, प्रेमी है, दयालु, ये सब चीजें जब हम बोलते हैं, परमेश्वर पूछते हैं इन सारे शब्दों के पीछे मैं कहाँ हूँ? सो इट मीन्स समवेयर परमेश्वर मिसिंग है. सो आई वुड लाइक टू से डोंट मिस जीसस. अगर हमारी आराधना के बीच में लाइट चली जाए और साउंड सिस्टम ऑफ हो जाए,
People will stop worshiping.
कैसे होगा हमारी आराधना? अगर वो खत्म होने के बावजूद भी, ऑफ होने के बावजूद भी अगर हम आराधना उसी इंटेंसिटी में, उसी जील में, उसी खुशी में, उसी आनंद में अगर कर सकते हैं, मेरे ख्याल में वो है आराधना.
नॉर्मली तो हम छोड़ देते हैं.
हाँ, एकदम से
आगे समझ में नहीं आता
मतलब
कि
वो
हुआ क्या है.
पंच खत्म हो. ऑफ कोर्स साउंड का एक पंच होता है, उसके अलावा मैं हमेशा सोचता हूँ पौलुस और सीलस, ना उनके पास साउंड सिस्टम था, ना उनके पास ड्रम था, ना उनके पास कुछ भी नहीं था. मेरे ख्याल में उनका बेस्ट गिटार तो उनके जंजीरें थे जो बांध रखा था, चक चक चक. बट हाथ हिला भी नहीं पा रहे होंगे, लेकिन दे वर्शिप्ड. वो है वर्शिप. मतलब जहां पर परमेश्वर की उपस्थिति उतर ना आती हो, वो आराधना नहीं है. परमेश्वर की आराधना ऐसे होती है, जब परमेश्वर की आराधना होती है उसकी उपस्थिति उतरती है. जब परमेश्वर के, आई नो आई एम अ पास्टर, या, तो डोंट मिस जीसस. that's my, what do you call, I won't say as an advice. That's my take. I'm nobody to give advice.
So it's like even if we are discussing about worship or worshippers, the only main focus should be on Jesus.
Oh, of course. No doubt about it. There is no other person. Only Jesus. Apart from Jesus, by God's grace, God has given me opportunities to be in so many, traveled around the world. I was part of many worship teams and worship bands and crusades and all those things. But I've learned one thing. No, if Jesus is not there, everything is in vain. So Jesus has to be there. If you cannot worship when you are alone, then whatever you do when
On
you
stage.
are on the stage or with people, that is hypocrisy. What you do as an individual when you are alone, that is the real you.
People don't realize that thing. Huh?
Yeah.
They only show what they are on stage.
If you cannot worship while you drive your bike, ride your bike, drive your car, if you cannot worship while you are cooking, if you cannot worship while you are taking shower or whatever, if you cannot worship when you do shopping, if you cannot worship when you are with your friends.
So it's quite tough, huh? This one. The
that
last one
worship.
is tough.
That is worship. Yeah.
So thank you, Pastor, for your views and your advices. And as we discuss about this topic, I hope that people liked what we talked and discussed. And thank you for your time and being with us here. And people, please share your views on the comments section, what you liked and what you want to add on for whatever we discuss. And have a blessed day. Hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. God bless you.